Put down your babies and pick up your beer. We're back with Dad Jokes. I'm Jerry, here with Brandon for another episode. Brandon, how you doing?
Oh, I'm tired, Jerry.
Oh, you're
Worn out,
tired.
exhausted.
Yeah, we're going to get into that here in a second. You had what I would like to call an audible happen to you. We thought this was going to be the episode where you introduced your son to the world, but instead, a little bit of an audible. But before we get to that, kind of an overview of what the show is going to be today, Brandon's going to tell us what's been happening with him. I'm going to give a little bit of a weekly update on our situation here. Our topic today is commemorating stuff. I know it's kind of a weird topic, but we'll get into what that means. A couple dad jokes mixed in between, and then we'll go into what's going to be on the next podcast. So, Brandon, without further ado, before we even get into a dad joke, let's hear your audible that was last week.
So, as you guys heard the last time we spoke, I expected to be announcing a baby name and a baby boy to the world this week, and that did not happen. We went to the hospital on Sunday. The plan was to, my wife's getting induced, so the plan was to go in, and then that night they were going to give her a medicine called Cytotec that softens the cervix. You get a few doses of that. Bing, bang, bow. The next day, you get a medicine called Pitocin that will start the contractions in actual labor. Pitocin is really a natural, something your body gives off naturally when you go into labor. And when you're getting induced, that's the main ingredient, for lack of a better way to put it, that is going in. So, long story short, we get to the hospital 9:30. Plan was to start the medicine to the cervix at 11. That did not happen. As hospitals get, they got busy, and we didn't start that process till 4 o'clock. So we're already behind the eight ball. And if you know my wife, you know she does not like surprises. She doesn't like things to not be on schedule, which I don't know how she married me knowing that. But either way, we did 4 treatments to the cervix, and she was only a centimeter dilated, and that was not the goal. Obviously, at the time, her doctor thought it was a good idea to start the Pitocin, almost to see what happened, because we didn't want to give up at that point. And that really started her. She was having contractions anyway, but that really started the contraction. So it was definitely a trying experience for her. Frustrating because you're going in wanting to have a baby, and you keep getting like doctors coming in, checking you, basically shaking their head no. They're talking to the nurse like, nope, we're not there yet. Nope, we're not there yet. It's a really frustrating experience for her. And then from my perspective, I could not sleep because I normally have to take a very heavy sleeping pill, and I did not want to take that while I was at the hospital. I wanted to make sure I was alert whenever anyone came in and that I was there for my wife. So that resulted in literally no sleep for me, which I'm still recovering from. But
How was
ultimately,
that
we got.
dad hospital bed while you're talking about
Oh my
sleep? Because
goodness, no. it the hospital bed was it's a chair, almost like a chair you'd have in your living room, not a couch, a chair that the top pillow will fold down, and the bottom has a section that pulls out completely, that it'll actually end up laying fairly flat. The problem is it's very pointy in areas like where my back is. So this go around, this is a silver lining, Jerry. I can be a little bit better prepared. I'm taking an extra cover and pillow, so I'm ready. But bottom line, the decision was made to have us go home. We can rest up, and the doctor believes that when we go back, her body will have adjusted a little bit to the medicine that they're going to give her, and will naturally kind of things will take place. So we're excited. We're not leaving without a baby one way or the other. Tomorrow is when we go in. So the next time I talk to you guys, we will definitely have a baby boy.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that right before we got on this call that my wife was texting your wife, and I think those might have been her exact words. We're not leaving without a baby. So I think she's reiterating what you're saying. But it sounds like you guys had a practice run, not that you wanted one or needed one, but if nothing else, I'll be honest with you, I learned some stuff from you going through this because I did not know that once you got induced that you could even like leave. I thought it was like game over, like it's happening. And so I learned something through all this as well, without having to
We didn't either.
sleep on that uncomfortable bed. So thank you
Yeah.
for that.
And really, like this gave me appreciation one for the nurses. I love my wife's OB, but I think that he was giving us kind of uh, the most. What am I trying to say? The he's giving us best case scenario, and we didn't discuss like worst case what could potentially happen. So we're going in naive, first kid. Okay, we're gonna go in on Sunday night. We're gonna have a baby on Monday because that's kind of what we thought. As soon as we got there, one, those nurses are putting in a ton of hours, but two, the nurse like set our, or at least mine. She literally told us, hey, sometimes this takes 2, 3, 4 days the first time you're induced. Sometimes it doesn't work. So I kind of heard that and set myself up a little bit for what was going to happen.
Well, at least you guys' little bit of a wait seems like it's pretty much over because tomorrow I know you're going back, and like you said, you're not leaving without a baby this time. So,
Correct.
the next time we talk to everyone, obviously it'll be really exciting. We'll kind of do what we thought today was going to be. But today's episode, like I said, we're going to talk, Brandon, about kind of commemorating stuff. And what I mean by that is basically what are ways, especially as dads, that we can come up with ideas to commemorate the moment that we're currently in, and kind of also, our children growing up, so we don't forget these moments and kind of each step along the way. But before that, in dad joke fashion, I got a dad joke for you. Ready, Brandon?
As ready as I'll ever be.
I cannot take credit for this one. This one actually comes from our boss's son, who I believe is 11. And he said this one to me the other day, and I told him that I would use it on my podcast. So I am a man of my word. So here it goes. Brandon, what do you call a deer with no eyes?
Oh, a deer with no eyes. So I actually think about the answers before I like try to guess, but I have no idea.
That's
What is
actually the
it?
answer. No idea.
Oh my god.
So you kind of got it.
I
You kind of got
didn't
it.
get that.
That was pretty good. So again, I can't take credit for that one. That was his joke. He was pretty proud of
Not
that
bad.
one.
Not
Yeah.
bad.
So he actually, there's a second part to it. It's what do you call a deer with no eyes and no legs? Still
I
no
still have no
idea.
idea. Yeah.
Exactly.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Uh, so before we get into this week's topic, we're gonna kind of start doing weekly updates on where we're at, so that you guys listening kind of know what's going on with us and where we're currently at in the parenting stage, if you will. So Brandon, as you had your crazy Audible week, I had a little bit of a crazy week myself. Not nowhere near as crazy, but it was eventful as far as pregnancy weeks go. We actually got to meet with what we think is going to be our future pediatrician this week. So that was pretty cool. I actually didn't know before we got pregnant that you could kind of have what they call meet and greets or interviews with pediatricians. I highly recommend that. It was super cool. We scheduled it online. We went in. The front desk person met us right away. Super friendly. Within 30 seconds, we were back into a room, which I don't know if that's just because we were interviewing them, but it was right away.
Unreal.
Exactly. I was like, okay, but I'll take it.
They're setting
And
you up.
then exactly. And then the doctor himself was in the room within 30 seconds and answered every question we had, super friendly. And I think we found our pediatrician. But it is very important when you guys are looking for pediatricians. I highly recommend meeting with them ahead of time, calling them at least, but having a good list of questions you want to ask, because everyone has something different a little bit that they want from a pediatrician. Obviously, you want, them to take care of your kid, but some good questions that I kind of thought of is, obviously you want to know what their office hours are. You kind of want to know what their policy is on same day appointments. You want to know if the doctor's always going to be seeing your child, or if they have PAs or multiple doctors. And then you kind of want to know their philosophy on medicine. Are they someone that is very prone to testing and to medicating? Are they someone that's very adverse to it? Are they somewhere in between? And you want to match what you kind of believe as parents. So those are kind of some questions I came up when I talked to our pediatrician. Brandon, did you have any good questions that you guys kind of thought of when you talked to the pediatrician you guys are now using?
So my main thing was talking to the community around me. I'm actually using a pediatrician that a lot of my family used, a couple friends used. He was already very recommended. The number one thing for us were some specific questions we had, kind of going with what you were talking about as far as uh, how we want to, or what we feel we want to raise the child, and see if that aligned with the pediatricians. And I don't mind someone. I mean, I'm not an expert. I didn't go to medical school, so I didn't mind pushback, but I did want to feel comfortable with who we were going with. The other thing was for my wife, she works about 35, 40 minutes away. So the time and location were absolutely important. It's not just going to be us. My parents live in the area. So are they able to quickly get to our pediatrician if need be while they're watching our son? And also do the office hours accommodate what our schedules are, not just myself and my wife, but also my parents. So it was that, and it was talking to the people in my family and people I knew who used this particular doctor who we thought we had landed on. We did land on, but when we were comparing the two or three, that was what was most important, and I did not hear one thing that dissuaded me from going with them. So we're really happy with our pediatrician. Now I don't know about getting in and out in 30 seconds. That seems like pretty
Setting the
unrealistic.
expectation high.
If that hey, if you consistently get that, I might have to rethink my doctor, because that's
Yeah.
one thing I hate is a waiting room.
No kidding. No, those are all good questions and all good points. I'm a little bit blessed, I'll be honest. With my wife being a nurse, she knows a lot of the pediatricians and she knows a lot of people that have dealt with them. She's a pediatric nurse, so she obviously um, is around that a lot. So she got a lot of good recommendations. Actually, the doctor that you're using, Brandon, was highly recommended as well. We looked at him in addition to the one we're probably going with, and that really helped us because she kind of had some inside knowledge, if you will. So, talking to people that know what they're talking about, who have kids who have gone to see them, very important. But again, if you are kind of going through the pregnancy process, definitely recommend talking to the doctors ahead of time, even multiple ones. It can hurt. And I think you'll be happy you did that. That was kind of a positive this week. One thing that happened to me this week that is not as positive is I'm starting to realize that when you do a registry, don't give people your address. Just let them get the gifts themselves and give them to you later. Because everything that people have shipped to my house has gotten lost or misplaced, or some kind of huge issues happened with it. And it just happened to me again, actually today, Brandon. My stroller that we talked about in an earlier podcast, and I'm so excited for, was supposed to be here 4 days ago. Kept getting delayed. Finally, today it said it was going to be here. I'm working. See on my phone, it says delivered. I'm excited. I get a text from my wife. She says, "Hey, only one of the two boxes for the stroller arrived, and it's just the seat, not the stroller itself." I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Just the seat's there." So now I come home. She's on the phone with FedEx. We're trying to call around, figure out what's going on, and nobody can give us an answer. So now I have a stroller seat, basically an additional seat because it came with the bundle, and I don't have the stroller itself or anything, and I don't have anyone who's giving me any answers. So supposedly someone's going to call us in 24 hours and let us know. But it is my recommendation, if you are doing a registry, just have the people get their own stuff, because when it gets shipped to you, it's a little bit of a nightmare. Like I said, this has happened with 3 or 4 things, because if something happens wrong, you don't have all the information. You're not the one who ordered it. It's not your credit card. It's not your email address. It's not even your name that was ordering it. It's just your address. So now you're calling people trying to figure it out, and they're not really helpful because they don't really know what's going on because you don't have all this information. You don't want to bug the person that was nice enough to buy it for you. It's just a little bit of a nightmare. So an insider tip, let them get it and figure out how to get it to you. That's just my advice, at least.
I
But that's
agree
been my week.
wholeheartedly.
Anything else, Brandon, happened to you this week other than obviously the big one, but anything else notable or that you want to shout out to our listeners?
I mean, if I'm looking at glass half full, I feel mentally prepared. I was already like psyched out last week going into Sunday. Um, and while it was disappointing, I feel like I have I just got a test run, as you mentioned before, and I know what to look for, little key terms. I didn't really understand like how dilation worked completely before. I knew what the word was, but little things like the cervix being high or low or 30%, it's just things made more sense and will make more sense going forward. So really it's just I'm gonna be the wingman there to catch the baby, support my wife, because I'm sure we're gonna have a challenging couple of days, but we're excited.
And you're gonna have more pillows and blankets with you this time, so that'll be,
Without
if nothing
question.
else,
Well,
help.
one funny thing is so I had two bags packed, and my wife's mom came over. She was like dog sitting, and I just kept noticing bag after bag after bag piling. And I'm thinking like my wife's mom packed a few extra bags or something. I didn't know. And I realized as we were leaving, because I was told to put them in the back of the car, that we had a ton of bags to the point that we're checking in the hotel, and the security officer looked at me and said, "How long you guys think you're staying here?" So I, as we're talking about packing more stuff now, it's a little bit, it's a little
That's
daunting.
funny. That's funny. Actually, my wife made the joke before because I was trying to pack a bunch of stuff. She's like, you're not staying at a hotel. They'll make fun of you there. And just kind of said that same line you just said. So
They did.
I've almost been told to pack less, but I might
I,
regret that.
I was happy that I had everything that I had while I was there, and
So there you
the
go.
3 days.
So let's get into today's topic a little bit. It's a little bit of an interesting one, but commemorating stuff. Yeah, a lot of times, as dads, especially we talked about this before, but when they're little, you raise them, you get them to bigger, but you get excited about the bigger things later in life, the t-ball games, the dances, that kind of stuff. So what can you do when they're younger? And one thing that I've wanted to do since I was a teenager, I kind of had this idea, and it's not my original idea, but I don't even know where I got it from, but I know some people have done it. But what I've always wanted to do is on the day that my son is born, which again, we don't know that we're having a boy or a girl, but when I do have a son, I always wanted to buy a watch that day and wear that watch for the first 18 years of my child's life. And on the 18th birthday, give it to them as something that, kind of is a cool story and say, hey, I bought this the day you were born. I've worn it now, but now that you're a grown man, here's this watch for you. Um, and obviously, if it's a girl, I want to do the same thing, but probably not a watch. I'm kind of going through some things right now, trying to figure out. So if anyone has good ideas, let me know. But maybe a necklace, like a cross or something of that nature. But I'd like to do the same thing. I just think it's kind of cool. I don't even want them to know that I'm doing it until it's their 18th birthday. But it is something that I kind of think would be really, really cool to do, kind of start that tradition. So what I'll probably do is have a boy gift and a girl gift in my cart on some online site, and then the day they're born, hit buy so I can be a man of my word. But that is one idea that has kind of always stuck with me, and I'm excited to do that. I think I know the watch if it is a boy, but I don't know the girl gift yet. So again, any advice I'd be happy to hear from. But Brandon, do you have anything kind of like that you want to do?
So my wife and I discussed this. The watch came up, and truthfully, I think you almost convinced me to do it. Because at first I was like, "Yeah, we got other things." But for my daughter, if I'm blessed enough to have one in the future, my wife 100% is doing a ring. She wants
Okay.
to buy a ring and basically wear that, and then give it to our daughter once she turns 18. Or in her mind, it doesn't have to hit 18. It's when they're old enough to appreciate it. Um, Other things that just in commemorating just their life for me is just the big thing is just being present. And one thing that was huge for me when I got older, this is something that just you have as you're ongoing. I feel like my dad recorded every game I ever played, AYSO soccer, youth football growing up, or to the point we still have these home videos, and it's super fun to not only go back and watch just to say, man, I was like the best youth 7 and under soccer player in the history of Genesee
Huh.
County, which I wholeheartedly believe I was. 7 and under was a killer left foot, but also just like the
I saw
legit
you throw a
excitement.
football today, Brandon, just for the record. So the viewers know, like, I did see you throw a football today. And let's just say you were 0 for 2 in your passes today. So I just want to
Well,
throw that out there.
I am out of shape. I am out of my playing career, and I never claimed to be a football player.
That's
So
true.
I know
Different
soccer
football.
involves your feet, but it's not to be confused with with American football. So I mean, just legit the excitement in my dad's voice. Like these are things that you get annoyed with as a kid, but I'd be going to score a goal and he gets so excited. You can hear the camera like running with him, like as he's running down the field with me. and then you see nothing. You don't see the goal. You don't see anything. It's camera on the
You
ground
just
and him yelling. And
nice.
as much as that drives you nuts as a kid, and maybe I'll be a little bit better recording it. It's one of those cool moments that I still go back and appreciate, and it's something I'll appreciate just going forward.
That is pretty cool. One of my biggest fears is nowadays it's so easy with, cell phones, smartphones, because you can take 10 billion photos, you can do videos all the time, and it's so easy, which is great. But at the same time, how often, you got 5,000 pictures on your phone, and how often do you go through them? And that's what I don't want. I don't want to have 5,000 pictures that I never look at. So I think, what I would like to do is at least, once a year making one of those books like year one, and maybe it's 100 pictures, something where you narrow it down and you have books by year, so they're actually ones you go back and look at instead of trying to scroll through your phone. Not that you're not going to keep them, not that you might not look at them, but actually I'm a big person that likes touch and feel. Like, we have a book club, and I always buy the actual book. I don't like doing
Yeah,
the audio, I don't like doing the Kindle thing. I like physical things. So that's something that we'll probably do. Another thing, that just kind of an idea that I've had that we haven't decided on or anything, but for our wedding, I bought my wife kind of a box that has a lot of memories from us throughout our entire relationship. I wouldn't mind having one for each one of my kids, that just throw big moments in there and keep that for their entire childhood. So that would be kind of cool as well. But I think it's important, like I said, to remember the big things. Not that you won't remember them, but to have little tokens so that when you are feeling kind of nostalgic, you go back, you look at them, and you can kind of sit down with your significant other or even with the child themselves and kind of look at those big moments and smile.
man, Jerry, the way we're talking, we might have to come out with a male scrapbooking podcast too.
I'm not very artsy with it. I thought there's a box, you just throw it in there. You don't have
I
to
mean,
do
I'm talking
anything
about
cute
taking
with it.
videos, cherishing the moments. You're talking about
That's true.
having a box full of memories yearly. It sounds like a scrapbook to me.
I don't think anyone's ever called either one of us sensitive, but maybe after this podcast, since our sensitive side's coming out.
Speak for yourself. I've been called sensitive one too many times in my life.
Oh, okay. Well, that's something I did not know about you. See, and
I
we're
might
learning
edit that
everything
out.
today. I like it. But that's kind of where I'm thinking. But I do encourage people, find something that's unique to them, find something that you want to do. But traditions are big. You hear people when they get older, they talk about the traditions they had when they were younger, things that they remember, and so creating those things from the beginning is kind of important. Even if you think you want to do something, you end up changing or having an audible, if you will. It's still
See
good
what you
to
did
to
there.
do. You did so. Any other things that popped out to you, Brandon, or anything else you want to touch on with the commemorating theme?
That you hit it on the head. It's what can we do right now? I'm my wife doesn't even know this. I need to be quiet. She's in the other room, but I've already started a video of us finding out she was pregnant in the last 9.5 months being pregnant, and that's something that we'll have that I'm gonna show her and give to her kind of once we get back home from the hospital. And just even in that, it's I think being present, being in the moment, appreciating where we are. I mean, that's really what we're talking about in this episode.
No, I agree for sure. I mean, that's obviously the most important thing. Little tokens and gifts and whatnot are cool, but being
And
there,
you didn't want to
being
call me
present,
sensitive.
but being there, talking to your kids, having those moments, teaching them lessons, that's the stuff that's going to stick with them forever. So, all right, we'll get off the sensitive stuff. We'll go back into the funny stuff. So, Brandon, dad joke, your turn. You got to top my two for stolen one.
That's going to be hard to top this week, Jerry. But I wanted to ask you, how does a taco say grace?
I don't know.
Let us pray.
What?
Let us pray. Let
I
us
don't get it.
pray.
Oh, lettuce. Oh, I get it.
And just for those listening, I
Oh,
did put my hands together and prayed with Jerry. He wasn't praying with me. You might have got this week, Jerry, but I'm coming in strong next week.
but no, I mean it's all right. It's all right. I guess once you get it, it's a little bit better. But not everyone can be good at everything, Brandon. So it's okay.
Good job.
So next time, this will be our Brandon introducing his son to the World podcast. I'm excited for that. I'm excited to get the text from you that says you got your baby boy here. So I can't wait to have that podcast. And again, guys, for everyone listening, please, if you are listening, whatever platform you're listening on, if you can leave a review, leave a review. If you can tell your friends about it, your family about it, please do. You know someone kind of going through the same things we are, or maybe wants to in the future. I actually had a good friend of mine just text me and say that they are listening to this because they're planning on having kids soon, and it's kind of getting them some answers to things they didn't know about before they've even started. So that was kind of something cool. But that will be the next podcast, Brandon. So say goodbye to the folks.
It's been a pleasure. The next time I talk to you guys, you can call me Daddy Banks.
Daddy Banks. And for the record, too, a lot of people wanted you to name your son, which I know it's not Robin, because they thought Robin Banks was the greatest name ever. And I got to agree, that would be a pretty cool name. So I'm a little disappointed that the name's not Robin.
Everyone give him credit. He got 2 dad jokes in today. One was funnier than the other. I'll let you guys decide.
Well, we'll
It
find
wasn't
out the
this
real
last one.
name on the next podcast, and we'll hear all about your experience. Until then, I'm Jerry here with Brandon. It's been a pleasure. This has been Dad Jokes.